Welcome to the latest episode of Rockstar Launcher, powered by Fulton Young PLLC. We are a Texas-based virtual business law firm, and we currently have 31 lawyers, about to be 32 in a few more days. We are so thrilled to have our guest today, but first I'm going to introduce our real estate and corporate lawyer extraordinaire, David Wong, who will introduce our guest.
Hi, I'm David Wong. I'm one of the partners at Fulton Young, and I'm a business corporate transactional attorney, and we're really glad to be here. One of the things I really enjoy about my practice is I get to represent a lot of different kinds of businesses. And so today we have Michele Ho. She is the head of, I guess it was a family business.
Yes.
It's called Airport Assistance Worldwide, and we think her business is very interesting. I got to know Michele initially from a referral from a banker because Michele needed some corporate work, and that's how I got to meet her. But I think it's really great right now if we just introduce Michele and then give her a chance to tell us about the business.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Michele Ho, and I am the current owner of Airport Assistance Worldwide. And to give you a little bit of background about our company, there's a story to it, and we're going to go back to the 1980s. So back in the 80s, there was a travel agency called Hoffman Travel. And back then, that agency was known, their unofficial tagline was the travel agency to the stars. Their core clientele were movie studios, all the production studios. The people that they represented were all the talent, TV, movies, music talent, the executives, the producers, the directors. And so when those people travel, they can't travel like us. They really need someone to kind of hold their hand and guide them through the airport, because for them, trying to navigate them by themselves, it's, their privacy is invaded, their personal space is invaded, their safety is at risk even as people are, and back in those days, that was pre-TSA. So anybody could go in and out of the terminal. But mind you, aside from all of that, they never paid attention to getting to their flight on time. So what started out back in those days, one of the owners of Hoffman Travel, Tom Stout, he was famously known for sitting in the airline lounges, having high-powered meetings with the studio heads and the talent that would be traveling that day. And they're not paying attention to the time. They're talking, they're having a whiskey, they're doing what they're doing. And Tom would be like, you need to get to your flight. And so he would say, hey, so-and-so, you need to take Mr. Jones, make sure he gets on that flight to New York. Or, hey, John, you need to go meet Mr. Smith coming off that flight from London, make sure he gets to his driver safely, get his bags and walk him out. And so that kind of evolved organically. And also at the time, the other owner of Hoffman, Carol Dunn, spectacular woman, by the way, she was the genius behind the white glove, high touch, the customer service level, like you are just the top level. That was her thing. So she made sure that every client they didn't have to bat an eye. They didn't have to look at anything. They didn't have to do anything at all. They were handed their itinerary. They would go to the airport and somebody would meet them there and whisk them through. So my mother, Junko, and her colleague at the time, Ray, who at the time, he became my father-in-law. But at the time, they were working for Hoffman Travel, running the division out of LAX. And they themselves were meeting these talents and the movie studio heads and all of these people, making sure that they would get to their flights on time. And my mother would tell me stories of meeting Dolly Parton on the tarmac. And we would get Christmas cards from Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner. I mean, all these big stars of the time. And so I grew up in the industry. And so fast forward, and Hoffman was eventually, they sold to another agency. And that agency, they didn't really know what they had with this department that did this meeting passengers. And it was called the meet and greet industry. We just kind of got named meet 'em, greet 'em, meet and greet. And so in 2004, my mother, Junko, and her colleague, Ray, went independent. At the time, I was still living in California. I started working with them. And with their brilliant guidance, I helped them grow the business. And then fast forward, just after COVID, they were already looking to retire soon. So just after COVID is when I took over the family business. We let them retire. And there's another family member that helps me run it. He does all the back end stuff. I do all the front end stuff. And that's our story. So let me tell you what we actually do.
Yes.
We will have someone present at the airport whenever these people are traveling. And this is all over the world. We have a presence at maybe close to 1,000. I kind of stopped counting. So we arrange in our office, we will arrange having a person meeting them at the curb. They'll coordinate with the chauffeur ahead of time. We already have all of their flight information. We'll pull the boarding pass. So if we need to, we will talk with the airline personnel ahead of time, let them know we're bringing somebody through. We meet them curbside. We help get them checked in. We escort them through security. We take them to the airline lounge. They relax. And then we come and get them when it's time for boarding, and we take them to the boarding gate when they want to. Sometimes they want to pre-board. A lot of times they want to go last if they're high profile. And so we coordinate all of that for them. So they don't have to do anything but show up. Our people do everything else for them. It's seamless. It's stress-free. We know the quickest routes through the airport.
Yeah.
People often ask about, are they secret doors and secret tunnels? There was back in the day. And there kind of are today. You know, there's a lot of new services that we represent that do have these very private experiences, but we know all the ins and outs. And so we just make it really smooth for them. So the same on arrival, we'll have somebody positioned at the gate. We're talking to their chauffeur ahead of time, get the vehicle staged for them when they want to come out, and we just whisk them right through, put them in the car. We'll go back and get the bags. It's a very convenient and it's really nice because it is so stress-free. It just takes all of the chaos, the confusing signs, the loud noises, the gate constantly changing at the last minute.
Absolutely.
And so it just really takes all of that away from you having to do that yourself. And you just show up. Like yesterday, I left Miami and I haven't been there in years. I don't remember anything about the airport. So I had one of my people meet me. I just showed up and he led me to where I needed to go. It was easy as pie.
That sounds like a dream.
It is.
Now, the security check sounds like they will walk you through that. Do you somehow get preference or priority your clients?
And that's a really good question. Clients ask us that all the time. There was a day when we had the privilege everywhere of just shoving to the front of the line and going. These days, you know, with TSA being so much different or just difficult, we have to get creative sometimes, and sometimes we just can't at all. And it can change on a dime. So it really depends on the airport. It depends on the TSA agent who's working. What kind of mood are they in? What's the relationship between we call them greeters, between our greeter and that TSA? So yesterday when I was in Miami, my greeter knew everybody. How you doing? He knew everybody. Sometimes they don't. So it depends. Now, you know, if you have TSA pre-check, you know, that's obviously helps. Yeah. If you're first class, you get to go through a priority line. So that obviously helps. So
you moved from California to Texas. How did that happen, or what prompted that? And David was pulled in to help them.
Yes. Well, so I moved 17 years ago, almost 17 years ago. This year will be 17 years. And at the time I was, you know, going through a divorce and where am I going to live? I had 2 young kids and I couldn't afford to live in California anymore. And so I was, you know, living with my mom. And then I was still working part-time. I was working for the business part-time. And then, you know, a couple of years later after the separation, and I met someone else and he had family here. Well, first he had family in Oklahoma and Texas. And I said, well, can't we go to Colorado? And no, that's far too expensive. So I looked into Dallas and I was like, oh, well, that looks pretty good. They have really good schools, all of that. So I ended up here, took a little bit. It's a cultural adjustment, but I love it. I'm really happy here. And so when my mother and Ray retired, naturally, I thought, well, it's better for the business if we move the business to Texas. So that's what we did, and that's where David came along.
I'm very tempted to ask you about funny stories about.
Okay, I have one.
Do you have one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's not my story.
Okay.
My mother, it's a meet. Remember, meet and greet. So they had a meet for I think it was maybe a production assistant or something, but they showed up with two people in the car. So my mother's waiting at the curb. She's got, special services from the airline people to help her. And she's standing there with her clipboard. And she's like, well, there's two people in the car. I thought it was only one person. And she's looking at her paperwork. It's only supposed to be one person. Who's this other person? Because she needs to get them checked in. And the first person gets out of the car and he starts to reach in for this other person. And my mom's, what's wrong with this other person? Oh no, he's drunk, she thinks. Oh, and in this industry in Hollywood, it happens. It's not like she was shocked or anything, but she was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. So the guy brings him out of the car and he leans him, if you can imagine at the terminal curbside, like big concrete pillars, kind of waist high. And he leans him on this concrete pillar and the guy just flops over. Well, she now realizes that the production assistant was for the movie A Weekend at Bernie's. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
And the person that flopped over on the concrete pillar was dead Bernie. The prop. It wasn't a real person.
Wow.
This production assistant was traveling with Bernie, the prop, the dead prop.
Wow. Do they have a seat for dead Bernie?
They did, I think, yes. I don't remember, but I think they did. But yes, dead Bernie.
Wow. I guess that's how you would have to do it.
Yeah. And then I do have another story. This one I was not involved with personally at the airport, but I was involved with helping my greeter. So this was maybe 2008 or 9. It was right before I moved here. And we had a very high profile music entertainer who was a regular client of ours. And he was well known for his extracurricular herbal activities. And so he shows up at LAX with a caravan of his friends that travel with him. And the airport police, they know him very well. It's not like it's the first time. And he opens the doors and all of this smoke starts to come out of the car. And my goodness, it has a very strong scent. And so my greeter, female greeter, loved her, wonderful woman. She was there to help him and they knew each other very well. She always was his greeter, preferred greeter. And the airport police decided to stop them that day. So they pulled them out of the vehicle and they kind of lined them up. And my greeter, she calls me and she says, Michele, what am I supposed to do? They've pulled them out of the car. They're lining them up. They're questioning them. I said, you need to walk slowly and back away.
So you're not...
Yes. Stand far away. Don't get involved. Just observe. Stay with me here on the phone. So she did. She watched and she just kind of told me what ended up happening. She did not get involved. The police did not bother her at all. Unfortunately, our client was not able to travel that day.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But he came back. Everything was fine.
So, what type of client is more difficult to deal with? Politicians or entertainers?
Entertainers.
Entertainers?
Yes, definitely entertainers. We've had politicians before. They're quiet. Yeah, the entertainers often now when the entertainers are traveling by themselves or maybe with one assistant, they're generally fine. When they're traveling with an entourage is when it becomes a little bit more problematic. And typically that's just because there's somebody in the group who thinks that they're more important than the lead talent, and they start just, just kind of causing a little ruckus. But par for the course, it's the nature of the industry, and we're used to it.
So do you have to give your people special training on how to deal with things?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're smooth as a cucumber. They've done it a million times. They know.
So what's one of your main hiring criteria for greeters?
You have to have thick skin. You cannot be a baby. You cannot get offended easily. You can't get emotional. You got to be super cool. You have to be zen-like. The whole time, you have to be in control of everything. You have to be proactive. You have to know what they're going to need before they know they need it. You have to pay attention to the logistics of the flights and the gate positions and, all of the things that are happening in the airport. And you need to be able to see them from a mile away.
And they need to be alpha enough to be able to, right?
Absolutely.
How do you find people like that?
Well, we tend to look for people that have airline experience, because they've already been exposed to those types of things. So yeah, I had a greeter, where was I? I don't remember where I was, but I was testing out one of the new greeters, and the person was very sweet, but did not have the presence, that commanding presence that made me feel like they knew what they were doing. They did everything right, but you need to have that presence because they will get chewed up and eaten alive by the talent and their people if they present themselves the wrong way, just kind of a little bit too wimpy,
Do you, are your meters or greeters ever have been asked to sign NDAs by the celebrities?
No.
Okay,
no.
that hasn't come up.
No, that doesn't come up. I mean, well, no, I can't say that they have. I think there's just an understanding between the studios and the agencies that use us,
So most of your clients are in the entertainment industry?
Yes, our core clientele is entertainment, Hollywood entertainment, music artists, bands. We do bands all the time. High net worth individuals. We do have, anybody can use the service, but that's our core clientele. High net worth, high value, high profile.
Do you mostly get your clients from word of mouth?
It's all word of mouth. And because we've been around for so long, all of the clients, a lot of the travel agents that worked for Hoffman are now, they're still working. So they've known us from back then. So they're still using us. They refer people. And so that's, we don't advertise. We'll do trade shows occasionally, but we're usually meeting people we already know and kind of just, solidifying that relationship.
I guess I wanted to make sure we mention that. So David started working with you on the corporate matters and transferring the company.
Yes.
And then he pulled me in to assist you on trademarks.
Yeah. So your firm was instrumental for me because I think you might remember when we first connected, I said, you have to dumb it down for me because I don't know anything about setting up a business. So it was easy. He did it all. I didn't have to, just like going to the airport and using my service. I didn't have to think twice.
We try to be
legal assistance worldwide.
Yes.
Because let me tell you,
go.
before I knew you, when we were the California entity, I was using Rocket Lawyer.
Oh.
We didn't have legal.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I was doing things right this time around. So I'm so glad that we connected. And then we did have some trademark issues.
Yes.
So that's when I reached out and I was introduced to you anyway. And so that's been great. Again, you got to dumb things down for me.
And then employment law.
And then we needed some employment law advice. So I was introduced to Heather. She was fantastic. And then I also needed to, set up a trust for the business, my family will. And so then I was introduced to Sharon Seal. And so it's just been one-stop shopping. The whole firm's just been wonderful. Everybody's so nice and helpful. And it's a little intimidating to speak to a lawyer. So yeah, you guys have made
try not to, we, although many of us came from big law backgrounds, but I think we're just so much more personable on a person to person.
Yes, you made it really easy for me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have, you're in many airports worldwide. Do you have expansion plans or what is next for your business?
Well, I mean, we do have a few things in the pipeline because we're still developing. I can't really talk about them, but
Oh,
yes,
good. Okay.
I'm always looking to expand. I've, ever since I was a little girl, I was always dreaming up, what can I do? And I would make beaded jewelry and sell this. I was always doing something. So taking over the family business was natural for me, and I'm constantly thinking of new different avenues of how can we expand but still keep it in the industry. What can we
Right.
do? So
Right. Well, I
I've got a
can't
couple of
wait
good
to hear
ideas.
about it.
You certainly
And
will,
maybe
because you'll be
you'll have
helping
a
me.
trademark for that new
Yes.
service.
Well, one of them I'm working on.
Great.
So I can't help but to ask questions like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what amazed me after the Olympics was you had athletes that are in a small town in northern Italy, and then some of them had to go. I mean, some of them were making appearances on TV shows, news shows, and then some went to Washington D.C. I mean, the travel for for someone who's a gold medalist at an Olympics game, to me, it's mind-boggling how many places they have to go in such a short amount of time. So, I mean, how do you? Seems to me that it's hard enough for them to arrange everything, and then
Yes.
you're the company that comes in and makes sure that everything goes smoothly. Tell me about that.
It is a logistical fire pit. It's crazy. So the way it works is a travel agent, or whether it's a, production, publicity, somebody, they'll give us an itinerary. So let's say somebody's doing a press junket, or let's say it's the Cannes Festival, or, something that has a big itinerary, like what you're mentioning. So they'll give us the itinerary, and we see they're starting out of LA, they're going to hit New York, they're going to go to London, they're going to go to Paris, they're going to Italy, they're going to Zurich. All over
So
the
it's
world.
not uncommon for you all to help with that whole
No,
itinerary.
that's
the whole
that
purpose,
is our
right?
everyday
That's
life.
your whole purpose.
Right.
Okay.
So we get that whole itinerary. They want us to meet them at the curb on departure, at the gate on arrival, connecting through Paris, everything. And so
Do you use technology to help you manage that? Or how does that happen?
I think this is one of those things where AI will never replace us, because it really takes that human brain to understand the nuances of what's involved in that itinerary, know what the airport looks like, understand, oh, you're connecting in Paris and you've only got an hour and 30 minutes.
What do you
Tisk,
do
tisk,
to
tisk.
make that happen?
That's a long walk
Yeah.
from your arrival gate to your next departure gate.
Yeah.
So those are things that, it's a lot of work. It
Yeah.
is. But I love the challenge. Now, I don't do the day-to-day bookings anymore, but that was what, it would just fueled that fire in me. I love a challenge. And I think what will save me in old age, because I don't think I'll ever stop working, is that every day there's something new on my desk. Even if I'm not booking anymore, I still am dealing with my staff, advising them on this itinerary or what's happening. And so my brain is just chugga all day long. It never stops.
So you don't see an Optimus robot stepping in and
No, I don't. I mean, I see better, internal software programming.
Right.
Sure, that's something
Right.
we're working on too. But
the back end, right?
yes, the back end. But in terms of what we do, and it was just last year, I was on a panel speaking at a travel event, and what I kept hearing from all of the agents in the audience asking questions and talking about things, they want more personal service. They're tired of automated things. We have had clients that left us because we were a little too expensive to go for somebody who was cheaper, but was very just black and white. And they've come back to us because they want that personal touch that we deliver.
right.
And they know that there's value in that. And it's not just the value and the personal touch between us and the agent that's booking with us, but they know that that extends to their client, the talent that's traveling, that high touch, personalized experience. AI can't do that.
No, no. I think that's for sure. You have a unique niche that many aspects of it cannot be replaced. You need that personal touch. You provide that personal touch and insight at each location and each personality too. So we are always wanting to share some insight that you might want to share with entrepreneurs out there or people who are looking to start up a business. Do you have any advice and recommendations on how they should tackle this?
I think that one of the most important things is just don't be afraid. You have to be absolutely fearless. You know, my mother and Junko and Ray, my former father-in-law, when Hoffman sold the company and the new company no longer needed this division, what were they going to do?
Yeah.
You know, they used to work for the airlines. They could go back to that, but they didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so they were absolutely fearless in just taking that leap of faith and going, well, let's start our own business. They were one of, I mean, there was another one-man shop operating in LA. There was a one-man shop in New York. There was a couple of independents in London and Paris, but there were no companies that were really doing this. How do you know that there's still a need? But they knew from what they had seen themselves, running the terminals themselves and meeting all these passengers, they knew that there was a gap. They knew that this service was needed. And so they just took that leap of faith and they opened the business. And I'm just constantly amazed, and I'm so thankful that they were not afraid, because that's been the greatest gift to me, was to be able to work in the business alongside my family. And I love what I do. And now I've been able to take over the family business and carry on their legacy. And so just, you have to be fearless. You can't, and speak up. You've got to speak up. You have to ask a lot of questions, and always, always enlist the help of professionals. Do not use Rocket Lawyer.
Get Fulton John.
Yes. I don't believe in
I'm
shortcuts.
so glad to hear you say that.
Yes, absolutely. I don't believe in shortcuts. So, you know, and that's another thing, you know, it's hard to open a new business. It's hard to run a new business. It's expensive. So I think, you know, there are some DIY avenues you can take, but I think with the really big things, don't take any shortcuts. Do things the right way.
Do it right the first time.
And you have to lead with integrity and transparency. And, you know, that has to be your mission right there. You know, that was what, you know, Carol Dunn with Hoffman, Carol Dunn and Tom Stout with Hoffman. And they, you know, they really made that such an important element of the business that carried on with my mother Junko and my former father-in-law Ray, who then taught me the same thing. And it's so important. It's so important. Integrity, transparency, that builds trust, that builds your clientele who's going to remain loyal to you. And they have to this day, you know, 24 years later.
Well, that's wonderful advice. I totally agree with that. Be fearless.
Be fearless.
Take that first step.
Yep.
Okay, that wraps it up. Thank you so much for tuning in to our episode, Rockstar Launcher. So happy that Michele joined us, and of course, she's a rock star, and David as well.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.